Oh, dude, can you hear me now? I had that whole soliloquy and no damn intro. No, like, you mean to tell me I was talking that whole time, nobody heard me? That's absolutely disrespectful. Audio check, can't hear you. Damn, that's wild. Thank y'all for tapping in. I guess, go back to it. I gotta go back to where I started, right? Because y'all didn't hear it. So, either way, that's absolutely crazy. Hope y'all had a good weekend. It is your boy, the Hip Hop Lobbyist. Welcome back to the channel. Had some technical difficulties there. First couple minutes, which is actually kind of crazy. None of that audio, all that talking just to my damn self. This is absolutely wild, right? I should have been checking the chat. But where was I? Basically, it's been a long weekend. As you know, Trump may have signed, or he did sign the executive order banning AI. And what essentially happened is New York ended up being one of the first states to actually pass AI that put some kind of compliance or regulations into artificial intelligence. And that was happening as the American Fest, AmFest, was happening in Tampa. You had JD Vance, Nicki Minaj, you had Jasmine Crockett responding to JD Vance. You know, we love Jasmine Crockett here for what it is. But at the same time, there was a lot of things that happened throughout the week that said, you know what, how do we stay ahead of the nonsense? And I know the technical difficulties really kind of fucked me up there, to be fair. But to the New York law, like I was saying when the audio was messing up, to the New York law, the bigger thing is compliance. A fact of, okay, if AI is out there, what safety protocols are out there to make sure that consumers are protected, that people are protected, that the environment is protected, that even if you get hacked within 72 hours, you have to report whatever happened to your systems to the Attorney General in the state of New York. Now, how would this be impacted by Trump's executive order? A lot of people don't know, because it's a fact of there are no federal guardrails right now. The impact, I believe New York has a $10 million fee for any compliance. That's the first hit is 10 million. I want to say the next hit is 30 million. That's 10x what California is charging. And, you know, Silicon Valley is where a lot of the tech hubs are actually housed. So if you're doing business in the state of New York, it'll be interesting to see how this new compliance piece will impact the way you do business. And it's interesting to overall get a glimpse of the fact of AI is going to take a major chunk of not only our data, our energy, but also that time narrative on how we catch up or stay afloat in business and technology. And I think the guardrails that New York is putting in is good to some point, but it also a fact of it'll be a domino effect, because what you don't want is New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Florida, Georgia, Wyoming, all having different AI laws, which then kind of circumvent the process of how AI is developed. Now, there's a bigger portion of, you know, what about the jobs? I was saying earlier about consumers. There's nothing out there currently that says how AI needs to be regulated to protect consumers, protect everyday people. From the data aspect, let's say you have a death in the family, you have a birth in the family, they're all of a sudden looking at all this data, right? They're calculating all these data movements that you have collectively and say, you know what, let's go ahead and charge this person extra $50, $100 for a flight, because we know that it's a family emergency. They're going to pay it for what it is. And really putting to a point of saying, okay, cool, we can have AI legislation, but what are we doing for consumers? And I feel a major part of all these roadblocks and compliance pieces are saying, you know what, yes, we need safety protocols to make sure that you're not using AI to create bombs or harm people and all these other things, but also a fact of saying, all right, cool, what about everyday people that are impacted by this? What about the people that are losing their jobs to automation, which is something we discussed on the channel before? So either way, it's interesting, but I do feel that a lot of the headwinds and narrative end up getting caught up in the JD Vance's, Trump, Jasmine Crockett of the world. And you know we love Jasmine Crockett here, but like I was saying, he took some headwinds. But I didn't get a chance to watch his whole speech at Turning Point USA at the AmFest. So I'm gonna go ahead and check out. We're gonna start there. But I appreciate y'all tapping in. We have a goal of hitting 10,000 subscribers before Christmas. We have 3 days to hit that goal. So if you're here right now for the first time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. But let's get into JD Vance. Hopefully the audio works. We're gonna double check that. About 30 minutes here, and then we're gonna get to the rest of it, man. Presidential candidate, huh?
Wow. How's it going, Phoenix? It's so good to be here with you all on this amazing day to close out an amazing AmFest 2025.
I'm not gonna like this headline.
What an amazing crowd all of you are, and I have to admit, today solved one of the great insecurities that I had. Because as I've watched Nicki Minaj come out and declare her support for the truth, for courage, and for wisdom, I've had this little nagging voice in the back of my head wondering whether she thinks I look like the JD Vance meme. And it turns out, and I confirmed when she walked down the steps, Nicki Minaj actually knows what I really look like, and that is the best tribute that I could possibly imagine. I have to start off with a note of gratitude. Erica, I cannot thank you enough for your strength, your grace, and your kind words of support for this administration and for me personally.
Oh.
You lead an incredible movement at Turning Point, and I will fight alongside you and President Trump and every patriot in this room to defend the country that we so dearly love. And when I say that I'm going to fight alongside of you, I mean all of you, each and every one. President Trump did not build the greatest coalition in politics by running his supporters through endless, self-defeating purity tests. He says, "Make America great again," because every American is invited. We don't care if you're white or black, rich or poor, young or old, rural or urban, controversial or a little bit boring, or somewhere in between. People of every faith come to our banner because they know that the America First movement will make their lives better, and they also know that the Democrats don't care about anything other than maybe transing their kids.
That's wild.
You say a lot of tricky
So
words.
if you love America, if you want all of us to be richer, stronger, safer, and prouder, you have a home on this team. I didn't bring a list of conservatives to denounce or to deplatform, and I don't really care if some people out there, I'm sure we'll have the fake news media, denounce me after this speech. But let me just say, the best way to honor Charlie is that none of us here should be doing something after Charlie's death that he himself refused to do in life. He invited all of us here. Charlie invited all of us here for a reason, because he believed that each of us, all of us, had something worth saying, and he trusted all of you to make your own judgment. And we have far more important work to do than canceling each other. We have got to build, and President Donald Trump is a builder. We're building a better country right now, and you have a rightful place in the success of your nation and the success of this movement. And we build by adding, by growing, not by tearing down. Charlie Kirk was a great builder too. He understood that any family can have its disagreements, its tough conversations. We can learn and improve and treat one another better. We can love each other despite the disagreement. But winning demands teamwork. And I am honored to be on Turning Point's team. I'm honored to be on your team, and I will stay that way.
It feels like low energy for Ryan.
There's still so much important work to do, my friends. We're barely a year into this administration, not even a year into the administration. But I'm so proud of the accomplishments of the president and the entire administration. In just a year, we ended Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's border crisis. December marks 7 months straight of zero releases at the southern border.
What's it said about AI taking jobs, though? How many people lost jobs in the last 7 months?
2.5 million illegal immigrants have left the United States, the first time in over 50 years that we have had negative net migration, and it's just the start. When you restore sanity at the border, it shows up everywhere else. Rent prices are dropping 4 months in a row, and more native-born Americans are working than ever before. Kamala Harris opened the border and destroyed the economy. The Trump administration gave you net negative migration and much more job creation. Real wages are finally growing. Inflation is half of what it was under Democrats. Gas prices are their lowest in years. And we have finally made it clear that in the United States, we believe in hard work and merit. Unlike the left, we stand against treating anybody, and I love what Nicki said about this. We don't treat anybody different because of their race or their sex. So we have relegated DEI to the dustbin of history, which is exactly where it belongs.
DEI's gone, y'all.
In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore.
Oh. I got the biggest damn reaction.
And if you're an Asian, you don't have to talk around your skin color when you're applying for college, because we judge people based on who they are, not on ethnicity and things they can't control.
Oh, okay.
We don't persecute you for being male, for being straight, for being gay, for being anything. The only thing that we demand is that you be a great American patriot, and if you're that, you're very much on our team.
Okay.
Just consider the contrast. Kamala Harris used the government to censor you. We're using, in the Trump administration, the government to protect your free speech, whether it's on college campuses or in the digital marketplace of ideas.
Oh man, it's a soundboard.
Our military is welcoming patriots instead of firing them for refusing to accept an unlawful vaccine mandate. And to honor Charlie, but also to honor all of you, we're working to end the scourge of left-wing violence in the United States of America.
What?
We're going after the far-left crime networks, but we're also going after the monsters that fund them. We don't just want to go after the Antifa member who threw a brick at an ICE agent. We want to know who bought the brick, and we're going to prosecute them too.
Bought the brick. Buying bricks, all white bricks. Yeah.
We're making America healthy again with our great HHS Secretary Bobby Kennedy. We're bringing drug prices down and purging our food supply of the poison that had built up over a generation. But my friends, there is so much more to be done. And the people saying we need to be doing more, we need to be doing it faster, trust me, I hear you. Greatness awaits every single one of you in the America First movement we are building together, but we need your help to get there. Do you want more prosecutions? Great. So do we.
They ain't know what to
Donald
say.
Trump and I have a list of better judges and prosecutors to enact swifter justice. So join us in the fight against the stupid Senate rules to stand in their way. Do you want faster deportations?
Oh, we was already
So
deporting
go to
people.
ice.gov/join, because we're building an army of patriots and we need good people who care about the country to help us secure the border and do it even faster. Do you want rents to keep dropping and wages to keep rising as they have over the last few months? Then mobilize with us. Don't hand power back to the people who tanked the economy in the first place. Join the America First movement, and you will always have a place on our great team. Next month will be the official one-year anniversary of the Trump administration, and I am damn proud of our record so far.
You say a lot of tricky words.
Now, the Democrats are already talking about 2028, and it looks like they're going to nominate a California liberal who's presided. A California liberal who's presided over rolling blackouts, open borders, and unchecked violent gangs.
Y'all be wilding with this kid.
They're just trying to settle on whether it's going to be Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris. And in the meantime, what are the Democrats offering you in the meantime? I got to say, ladies and gentlemen, they are not sending their best. Omar Fateh was Ilhan Omar's candidate for mayor of Mogadishu. What? I mean Minneapolis. Little Freudian slip there. The candidate for Senate in Maine for the Democrats calls me a Nazi, which is rich coming from a guy who literally has a Nazi tattoo on his chest. And Jasmine Crockett.
Oh, here we go.
The record speaks for itself.
Oh, shit.
She wants to be a senator, though her street girl persona is about as real as her nails.
Yeah, you tried it.
But ask yourself, what do all of these people have in common? And the unfortunate answer is they are puppets. They don't actually matter. They are cogs in a machine that wants to make you poorer, that wants to make you less powerful, and wants to make you less safe in the country your ancestors built. And while President Trump and I are doing everything we can to break that machine, the left is still there, my friends, and they are still very powerful. Don't delude yourselves. It's the activist groups who want to poison your kids with hormone replacement therapy and toxins in your water supply. It's the corporate boardrooms pushing diversity quotas while whining about the fact that Donald Trump won't let them ship American jobs overseas anymore, and boo-hoo to that. It's the rogue district judges who issued nationwide injunctions every time the president lifts a finger. It's the Soros DAs who cheered on as their cities burned. What unites them? They win when our country loses. They get rich when you get poorer. They hire the illegals that they bring in to take your jobs. They drink fine wine in the countries they ship your jobs to. They censor you because they'd rather destroy the Constitution than risk losing an argument. They bring in millions of voters because they know they can't win the argument with the people who are already here. And you know what else unites them? We are going to kick their ass next November and every year after that.
Damn. I heard that. Shots fired, man. Yeah, he really is talking about the base. Because he's really complaining about process when you think about it. Like, all the judges that are derailing stuff, the injunctions, guess what? It's all processed. Yes, some of them are Obama judges, Clinton judges, but some of them have been Republican judges. Remember, it's the Republicans that are in control of a lot of this shit. So they're mad that a lot of the Republicans are stopping their same shit. Even having Republicans in the House that are flipping on some of this narrative, especially for the tax subsidies for Medicare and Obamacare and Trump RX. I think that's going to roll out next, but we'll see.
Part of the American dream is the idea that we're all, every single one of us, on the same team. We're all part of the same American family. If you want to destroy that, do what Democrats have done, not just for the last 5 years, but for the last 30 or 40. Make one race the enemy of another. Make one gender the enemy of the other. Make Americans suspect and despise each other instead of loving their shared country. When I think about some of the most impassioned debates happening in our country, the nature of citizenship, of what it means to be an American, it all speaks to an obvious truth. Americans are hungry for identity. We're hungry for belonging. We're hungry for a sense of our place in the world. And it's no surprise why. For many years, our fellow Americans have been dealing with a globalized economy that homogenized cultures and hollowed out our towns. Academics and activists pushing race and gender politics down everyone's throat 24/7. Big tech overlords using their internet platforms to censor stories that challenge the dominant far-left narrative in our country.
But now they're supporting y'all entire narrative, especially with AI and everything else. Think about this. The deplatforming is stopped. You'll have Elon with Twitter. Zuckerberg's in the camp with you. Bezos is in camp with you. Everybody's doing business with Trump. So now all of a sudden you're complaining about stuff that happened that you all have technically solved. Or basically, they're with y'all now, so why complain about the bullshit? It's like almost a fact of, again, I get the fear tactics, I get it, but at the end of the day, I don't see this winning for Republicans. I think they're running scared. And JD's speech is kind of weak because outside of race, politics, and a little bit of DEI, the transgender stuff is falling on the wayside now, right? There's nobody's saying, hey, this is happening, because even when you look at it in a lot of these states where the transgender stuff was happening, they're banning books. These are Republican states. So they passed these laws and put all these in, but now all of a sudden you're mad and it changes. So now they're dropping the transgender narrative. Everything's being fixed. They had to fix all this stuff from Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, which is cool, great. But now all of a sudden people are looking at everyday costs. And the only issue that Democrats have is that nobody trusts them on solving the economy because they helped put us here, right? So the Republicans have at least some inkling to say, okay, cool. We're going to keep beating this dead horse, say what we got to say. You know, it's about the economy. We're trying to fix it. We're there. But, you know, we had to fight DEI. We had to get our kids back. We had to put America first. America, America, America. Cool. I'll be honest with you. The only time I remember in my lifetime, first time actually, where I've seen all Americans really care about Americans is 9/11. When nobody gave a shit about your race, your religion, your anything. Is like, hey, we're all under attack. We're all in this together, right? How do you get home safe? How do we all get safe home together out of this, right? And it's been fear tactics a little bit after that. You had Obama with, of course, hope and change. And now it's more fear, fear, fear. And I think that the greatest fear that everyone has, especially the Democrats, is there's no plan of action to have people trust you with an answer to this economy. So as long as the Republicans hold some power and they can keep spinning fear and you don't have a solution to it, it doesn't work. Now, Jasmine Crockett, you know, I'm a fan. I think the name ID is there. But when it gets into actual legislation she's passing, what the option is for people to say, okay, do you have a solution for the rising cost of gas, eggs, whatever it may be, right? It can't just be attacking Trump. There has to be some like substance there. And I think that's where a lot of this is going to make sense. But let's get back to JD Vance. Again, 51st time here. I'm a hip hop lobbyist, professional lobbyist in the state of Florida. I've been doing it, politics, roughly 15 years. We have a goal of 10,000 subscribers by Christmas, 3 days away. Can we help us get there? We have over 300 of y'all here right now. If you haven't subscribed, let's go ahead and subscribe. Let's hit that button at the top, but let's get back to JD Vance in the interim.
More than any time I can recount, people are talking about American identity and figuring out what it is that unites us. But I want to say something here. The only thing that has truly served as an anchor of the United States of America is that we have been, and by the grace of God, we always will be, a Christian nation.
My phone, man.
Now, I want to be explicit
Antonio, what's going
because,
on?
of course, the fake news media will
Pat.
twist everything that I say.
David.
I'm not saying... Do you feel about them the same way I do?
John, what's
I'm
going
not
on?
saying you have to be a Christian to be an American. I'm saying something simpler and truer. Christianity is America's creed. The shared moral language from the Revolution to the Civil War and beyond. Across that history, our country's major debates have always centered on how we could best as a people please God. That creed, think about it. That creed motivated our understanding of natural law and rights, our sense of duty to one's neighbor, the conviction that the strong must protect the weak, and the belief in individual conscience. Even our famously American idea of religious liberty is a Christian concept. Because we're all creatures of God, we must respect each individual's pathway to that God. But over the last 50 years, there has been a singular focus, a war that has been waged on Christians and Christianity in the United States of America. And let me say, of all the wars that Donald Trump has ended, that is the one we're proudest of.
You know what's crazy here, right? And I may pull up a documentary. I don't have it queued up yet. I may find it and put it in, right? The issue I have with this narrative that JD Vance is putting out is that this has been a narrative for 50 plus years. Now, if you go to, like, when they were desegregating schools in the 60s, you have a lot of people, white evangelical Christians, who are basically pushing the same narrative of, hey, we're losing Christianity as a country. We're going away from our ideals, right? And if this has been a narrative for 50 plus years, when the hell were we at the Christian ideals of our founding fathers? Now, I'm not just going to slavery, even though, you know, we can go about that, because even for the American freedoms, the liberty, everything else, JD may forget that a lot of the reasons those freedoms is like Britain was like, hey, all the slaves we have in America, we're going to free them. And then all those Christian liberties started to tighten up. So I'm trying to figure out between the British Revolution, all the other times, slavery, everything else, up until 50 years ago. At what point were we the Christian nation that everyone is pushing for today? Like AmFest, Turning Point USA, all the other people. Like, when was that time? Because in the 60s, if people were saying that the desegregation of schools was causing people to go away from our Christian morals and all this other stuff, and I'm gonna find it and put it up here so we can see it, right? I'm just trying to figure out, when were we that country? Because I don't understand that time frame. Because this narrative sounds great, it really hits the hot button part of it, but it's like, you know, at the end of the day, give me that time frame you're speaking about. Because I get tired of hearing about it if we're not actually relating it to a real time specific or time period in America. Let's get back to it though.
For decades, the left has labored to push Christianity out of national life. They've kicked it out of the schools, out of the workplace, out of the fundamental parts of the public square. Freedom of religion transformed into freedom from religion. And in a public square devoid of God, we got a vacuum. And the ideas that filled that void preyed on the very worst of human nature rather than uplifting it. They told us not that we were children of God, but children of this or that identity group. They replaced God's beautiful design for the family that men and women could rely on and turn to one another, with the idea that men could turn into women so long as they brought the right bunch of pills from Big Pharma.
That's crazy.
They had all the religious fervor of a zealous convert without any of the grace or forgiveness of a true Christian. Scripture tells us, By your fruits ye shall know them.
Of a high rise in
And we might
Chicago.
ask, what are the fruits
I know
of these
the
people
atmosphere
and their
that I
principles?
am living in.
And the answer
It's
is
so
a
many
man
people that
named
need
Tyler
high
Robinson
rising.
who
There
killed
are
my
10
friend.
families to a floor.
That's crazy.
There are 154 to 56 families to one building.
Think about it. He has
To each
everything
family,
that the far left want from our young men. He rejected the conservatism and the spirituality, the values of a small town family. He moved into a small apartment. He became addicted to porn. He became addicted to hate. And he ended up sleeping with somebody who doesn't know whether they're a man or a woman.
That's crazy.
That is the nightmare scenario. That is the scenario that the left has actively advertised they want for American families. And the young men in the
Absolutely
audience in
wild,
particular,
Trump. I mean, Vance.
that is exactly why we have to fight them. Because the fruits of true Christianity are men like Charlie Kirk.
I don't know about that, bro. I don't know about that, bro. Oh, God-fearing man, I'll give you that. A husband, a father, I'll give you that. But the rest of that, I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro.
The fruits of true Christianity are good husbands, patient fathers, builders of great things, and slayers of dragons. And yes, men who are willing to die for a principle if that's what God asked them to do.
Game of Thrones out here, bro?
Because so many of us recognize that it is better to die a patriot than live a coward. I'm going to tell you something I haven't talked about publicly before, but in the days after Charlie's death, I struggled a great deal. I'm sure many of you did too. I remember watching every video of the assassination, looking for clues, trying to understand what happened. I'd try to hide my friend and that terrible bullet hitting him, but I would try to look around. I stayed up all night for many nights in a row, researching every conspiracy theory, going down every rabbit hole. When my lovely wife, Usha, told me to come to bed, I told her I owed it to Charlie to try to uncover every stone, and so that's what I tried to do. I remember I was consumed by this fear that Charlie's death wouldn't just deprive a family of their husband or of a good father, but that it would deny our movement of a great unifier of people and a great doer of great deeds. It's the only time I can remember my wife ever telling me that she was really worried about me. She told me it many times. But what saved me was not lying to myself, but accepting the reality of the fight that we're in. Charlie's death was an immense loss, an irreplaceable loss. We got kicked in the teeth, my friends, and there's no sugarcoating it or pretending that it didn't happen. We need to accept that. And what saved me was realizing that the story of the Christian faith, like the story of these United States of America, is one of immense loss followed by even bigger victory. It's a story It's a story of very dark nights followed by very bright dawns. What saved me was remembering the inherent goodness of God and that His grace overflows when we least expect it. Not long ago, I spent time at a Christian men's ministry just a couple of weeks ago. And here's what they do. They take men who struggle with addiction or homelessness and they help them get back on their feet. They feed them, they clothe them, they give them shelter and financial advice. They live out the very best part of Christ's commission. Now afterwards, I had lunch with 4 of these men. It was a couple of white guys, a Hispanic guy, and a black man. They had all struggled in their unique ways. Some had lost contact with their family, some of them for a very long time. Others were desperate to rebuild relationships with their kids so that they could see them on Christmas. But all of them were back on their feet. And what saved them? It wasn't racial commonality or grievance. It wasn't some philosophical jargon. It wasn't a DEI prep course, and it wasn't a welfare check. It was the fact that a carpenter died 2,000 years ago and changed the world in the process.
I hear that. I really do feel that. At the end of the day, a lot of us have a lot more in common than the media wants to put it out there. Like Republican, Democrat, black, white, whatever, right? There are a lot of people that get along with each other regardless of their personal politics. When you start putting religion and politics into stuff, it really changes the narrative. Like I always say on the channel, it's like, if you can get out of like the narrative of, okay, Democrat, Republican, Trump, Obama, Biden, whatever, right? And look at actual policy that people are talking about, looking out, it benefits everyday people. It's one of those things. So even when you talk about AI, you could look at the energy, the grid, how it's going to impact people's light bills, but also the fact that, like, you know what, damn, if we get a room full of people together where we're talking sports and anything else, it's like, you know what, bring everything but politics into it. We get along fine. But the second it ends up being that, we got to hate each other. And I think the greater part of it is, respectfully, when you're in a room, like I've been in rooms with Democrats and Republicans behind closed doors, and they've talked about removing other Republicans and other Democrats from office and collectively saying, like, this doesn't work. This person's in it for the ego. Like, and when you see it inside and you come outside and you see like the vice president here and other people just spewing hate and divisiveness, it's kind of like, damn, like why does it have to be this way? Not even when, but why does it have to be this way? Like, why can't we all just get along? But then again, I also realize controversy sells. That's the only reason the Housewives and the rest of the shit selling, because, you know, drama, people don't want to get along. And I think at the end of the day, if we stop listening to the bullshit and the narratives and we say, you know what, next time I see JD Vance or my local senator, my mayor, my city council person, instead of just going on the narrative of Trump and the nonsense just to get them their talking points, point them to some actual statutes and some stuff that can actually change some shit, instead of saying, hey, you know, this is the issue. But either way, we got about 5 more minutes here with JD. They want to go into some Gavin Newsom stuff. He took shots at Gavin Newsom, but Gavin Newsom made a political promise that didn't make sense. He made a common sense promise that didn't make political sense. Because now all the immigrants that are in California are about to lose their health care, because guess what? They're $13 billion in deficit. Either way, let's get back to JD Vance. We're going to get to that next. Thank y'all for tapping in, though.
If you go to almost any food pantry in this country, you will find Christians feeding the poor. If you go to addicts whose families won't even speak to them, like my mom was at a certain point of her life, it's often the Christian ministries that stay with them at their very lowest moments. You'll find Christians sitting patiently beside hospice beds and in recovery rooms and in all the places of the world where people have given up on other people. And this is the moral truth we strive to center in our work in the Trump administration and in this great movement of ours. A true Christian politics, it cannot just be about the protection of the unborn or the promotion of the family, as important as those things absolutely are. It must be at the heart of our full understanding of government. Why do we penalize corporations that ship American jobs overseas? Because we believe in the inherent dignity of human work and every person who works a good job in this country.
This ain't nothing about the living wage. Oh, wait. Damn it. Technical difficulties on that. Ooh. What the hell just happened? Hold on, y'all. There we go.
Why have we worked without the help of Congress to restrict H-1B visas, for example? Because we believe it is wrong for companies to bypass American labor just to go for cheaper options in the third world. We help older Americans in retirement, including by ending taxes on Social Security, because we believe in honoring your father and mother rather than shipping all of their money off to Ukraine.
Oh, damn. Are we still sending money to Ukraine?
We believe in taking care of the poor, which is why we have Medicaid, so that the least among us can afford their prescriptions or to take their kids to see a doctor. And it's why we are outraged at the injustice of Tim Walz allowing Somalian immigrants to defraud that program to the tune of billions of dollars. It ought to go to Americans, because that's who it's there for.
You heard that? JD Vance, shots fired. Tim Walz, where you
I want
at?
to close, my friends, but I have heard you. I know that some of you are impatient at the pace of progress, and my response to that is good. Be impatient. Use that desire for justice for your country as fuel to get involved in this movement in a bigger and better and more powerful way. I know some of you are discouraged by the infighting over any number of issues. Don't be discouraged. Wouldn't you rather lead a movement of free thinkers who sometimes disagree than a bunch of drones who take their orders from George Soros? And I know many of you miss our dear friend Charlie Kirk. So do I. I miss his optimism. I miss his energy. I miss the phone calls where we'd strategize about how to get this or that GOP congressman to get off their ass and do something. But most of all, I miss Charlie's wisdom. I miss his reminder that politics is not a dress rehearsal or a game. We are making decisions that will save our country and give the American people a shot at their dreams again. If you miss Charlie Kirk, do you promise to fight what he died for? Do you promise to take the country back from the people who took his life? Do you promise to help defeat the radicals who cheered his death? Do you promise to honor his memory by having faith in the God he loved? My friends, commit to these things, and I promise you victory. I promise you closed borders and safe communities. I promise you good jobs and a dignified life. Only God can promise you salvation in heaven, but together we can fulfill the promise of the greatest nation in the history of the earth. Merry Christmas, my friends. Let's keep fighting.
And that was JD Vance, Vice President. I'll give this speech on a scale of 1 to 10, probably a good 6. There's nothing there. I mean, he's prepping, I guess, for all this, for what it is, turning the turning point folks up. They still know they need these congressional maps to be redrawn in these conservative states like Florida, looking for 4 or 5 more seats in order to hold on to any kind of semblance of this presidential run. I mean, to at least keep the promises that are out there. Collectively, I'm not moved by it. I think the turning point folks at AmFest may be moved by it, but outside of taking shots at Gavin Newsom and my girl Jasmine Crockett, I really don't see what the speech was all about. I guess some of the headwinds that are out there from, okay, yeah, JD Vance said something nice, but this is nothing. I think, you know, if he gets any more headwinds, Trump may be like, hey, bro, what are you doing? But I don't think that'll really be it. The bigger thing is, as I said earlier, I'm switching over here. Let's get this together. Gavin Newsom. Now, this is an issue that I would say collectively, since JD Vance did take shots at him here, is like, you know what, if you're going to run for president, you can't just make common sense solutions to problems. Things have to make political sense, as I say, right? I was saying a lot of ums here. But collectively, a few weeks ago, in a lot of his speeches, Governor Newsom has came out and said, you know what, hey, we're going to provide health insurance for undocumented and documented immigrants, right? And the thing about it is something I've talked about on LinkedIn for a lot of conservative states, Maryland included, California especially, but they're in big budget deficits. I mean, $13 billion in deficit. Now, a state like Florida, Ron DeSantis isn't playing that. You feel me? Ron DeSantis isn't playing the fact of, hey, we're going to have 15, 20, 30,000, $30 million, $1 billion in debt. And what happened here in California, respectfully, is during the pandemic, a lot of these states already may have had some budget shortfalls, right? They said, you know what? We got extra $50 billion, $20 billion, $10 billion. Let's go ahead and fill the gap of our budget with it. Let's go ahead and act business as usual. We don't know how long the pandemic's going to be, but we'll see, right? And from there, a state like California and Maryland and others basically said, you know what, all right, cool. We're going to patchwork our budgets with this. And now all of a sudden that COVID money done dried up. And now you're sitting here like, okay, we didn't put anything really in reserves. We didn't make any fiscal changes to the state. And now all of a sudden we got to cut back. So the common sense solution to say, hey, we're going to get people energized to vote for us and say, hey, California is different. We're going to push Prop 50. We get Prop 50. The next part of it is you're still $13 billion in debt. So what do? One of the first things you have to cut is the costly immigrant healthcare plan that you promised to Californians. Now, why? Because you don't have the money. Now, every Friday for the last 2 months, nonprofit workers have had iPads. They fanned out all over LA, helping immigrants, I guess, get healthcare. And really to a point of saying, with the Medicare program ending, it's over. Now, one of the biggest things that I've complained about on this channel and overall, you'll see Medi-Cal, and this jumped out to me overall, is that the people out there for the past couple months, past couple years, they've been able to help get people insured, but they're paying maybe $30 a month as a premium. Now, my issue that I shared before is that I had health insurance. I was paying $380 a month that somebody that was poor was paying $80 a year for. Same quality service, and basically I'm like, damn, why am I paying this much? Because of my income. Then it gets to a point of saying, okay, cool. If you have a state that's $13 billion in debt, or if you have a state that has $13 billion in reserves, regardless, right? That does get to a point of saying, okay, yes, we want to provide health care for the poor, for the immigrants, for whatever, but it can't be at the fact of your average everyday person who's out here hustling and busting, doing their job, paying 10x, maybe 100x more than an immigrant can be paying. Now, I'm not anti-immigrant, as you know, first generation American, but it does get to a point of saying, okay, cool, that shit ain't right. Right. And I do understand it as a part of, okay, you do have some poor people who need quality healthcare insurance. You do have people in general that need healthcare insurance. But then it's a fact of, as a politician, what are you selling to people? Are you selling the fact of like, hey, we're going to give immigrants $30 healthcare while you go pay $300, $400, $500 a month? Are you saying, hey, yeah, we're going to provide healthcare insurance for illegal immigrants and you still got to go pay your $300, $400, $500 a month? Or are we saying, hey, here's a realistic situation. We can't afford to give these immigrants any health care. I hate to say it, but Trump's right. And we can't afford to do it. The issue is the Democrats won't be real with you about it. What they'll do is basically say, yeah, we're going to do it. We'll provide. And then shit like this happens. And Trump and his team haven't got a hold of this information yet. I would say maybe the next press conference, right? But the greater issue to me is it makes common sense to say, yes, let's provide health care insurance for these people. Political sense, it doesn't, because the money's not there. The tax revenue isn't there to provide that, right? And that's where I feel a lot of Democrats, a lot of activists, a lot of people really lose sense of this narrative sometimes, because they're going racism and all these other things. But it's like, no, tell me how you pay for this. Like, let's get to it for real. Let's how you pay for this. And I do feel that when you get to it, like Jasmine Crockett, my girl running for Senate in Texas, if it gets down to a situation like that, people may say, you know what, cool. You don't have the answer for this. We're not cool with this. And that's where we're at. But something in the headlines that I thought for the segment to add in here was interesting to me. Especially since Gavin Newsom did take a shot from JD Vance there. But also Jasmine Crockett, she took a shot from a man's. So we have to get to her response as well. Let me flip this up top for what it needs to be. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. I'm gonna check the chat in a second, but just wanted to share that while we get to
Democrats
the response.
Have long dreamed of turning Texas blue, or even a bit more purple. And
wait, they took the video down? That's absolutely crazy. We get to the next one. Hold on. See, I had a video queued up that must have took the video down. It's absolutely crazy. But here we go. Video unavailable. Well, damn. I guess we won't get to a response. Let's check out my man Byron Donaldson. So Byron Donaldson running for governor of Florida. He also spoke at Turning Point USA. Let's see what he had to say here, and we'll try to find the Jasmine Crockett response to JD Vance.
Turning Point, it is good to be back with you again. You know, I got in last night, I was watching some of the clips. They told me you guys were rowdy out here in Phoenix, Arizona. And as I step out, I see it for myself.
I thought this was in Tampa, it was in Phoenix.
Today, in 2025, as we turn the calendar into 2026, the heartbeat of the conservative movement is here at Turning Point USA. It's interesting to be back. I never thought I would be back under these circumstances. Our movement has really been defined by two fighters. You ever see those memes, choose your fighter? Everybody's seen those, right? Our movement has been defined by two fighters. The first is the 47th president of the United States, Donald Trump. He is a FAFO fighter. That's him. That's who he is. And God bless him, that's what our movement needs. But the other fighter that has defined our movement is Charlie Kirk. I remember after his assassination, like everybody else, I'm trying to figure out how to get my mind in order, how to get my emotions in order. And what came to my mind and what came to my spirit was the verse that defined the other fighter of our movement, Charlie Kirk. And that's found in 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. You see, Charlie was a fighter who wore the armor of God. He was a fighter that tried to embrace those even when they disagreed with him, even when they vehemently disagreed with him, when they disrespected him. He still tried to find some scintilla of a common ground to reach those hearts, to reach those minds. In part, that is what has built Turning Point USA. Because the young people in this room, from whatever high school you come from, whatever college you attend, the conservative movement was not speaking to you until Charlie Kirk came along.
Yeah, Byron, you pulling teeth out here, boy. This is a struggle. It's a struggle fest.
Time where now everybody's trying to figure out, well, who's really conservative? Well, who's really a fighter? Who's really going to stand on principle? Who's going to lead the movement into the future? And I think the real answer is found in, what do we believe? What do we stand for? Do we stand for Western civilization? Do we stand for Judeo-Christian values? Do we stand for free market capitalism, protecting life, strong borders, legal immigration based around assimilation and Americans, not foreign nations? A limited federal government that is controlled by the confines of the United States Constitution, the nuclear family, protecting puberty.
What?
Boys are meant to be men.
What?
Girls are meant to be women.
Protecting puberty.
What does that have to do with your hair growing?
And together, when they find each other, they create
hey,
a family. And that family unit is the very nucleus of a society that respects individuals, that allows you to amass goods, that protects your freedom of speech, that lets you worship your God. In the very essence, the nuclear family, man and women together raising kids, is what continues the great experiment that is the United States of America. I don't know what the hell you're talking about
right now.
You say a lot of tricky words.
But I find in this moment we're trying to figure out, well, who's going to be the next?
Oh.
That's the wrong question. What comes next is, what are we going to stand on? What are we going to believe in? And here's the broader question. How are we going to define the boundaries of the movement? You see, I'm very clear on this. I don't have a spirit of fear and timidity.
Nope.
I don't. I believe in standing firm on what you believe in. You go to any quarter to debate it. If someone disagrees with you, fine. So what?
Imagine growing up in Brooklyn, being a Lakers fan and having to argue with all these Knicks fans your whole life. That's Byron Donaldson's story. He won't tell you that. He'll just be, oh, you know, black Republican, I've been fighting against, you know, the Uncle Tom narrative, all that. No, I've been a Lakers fan that grew up in New York. A man's cut from a different cloth. He's been fighting against these bad positions his entire life. Now, there could be some Laker fans out there like, oh, yeah, they're a great team, amazing team, but I've never seen someone from Brooklyn, Harlem, Manhattan, or wherever just root against the locals like that. Like, not even the Nets. You look rooting for the Lakers. I don't know, man. Byron's been fighting his whole life. That's not a fight I'll take on.
But if you're going to be in this movement long term, you got to have a spirit of power. You got to be willing to go to places they don't want to hear from you. You got to be willing to stand for the ideals that make America great. You know, like law and order, like standing behind our police.
There you go. Now, you know, when I said this last time, Byron, like James Fishburne, whatever his name is, they're bringing up your youthful criminal past, talking about law and order. Now, be respectful. I'm not bringing it up. They did. But it's the point of saying, you know, I get it. Maybe you kind of steer away from that narrative. Because, you know, the black guy running for governor, law and order, stealing, crime, pre-felony, trial diversion. Maybe they'll use it against you. They're already doing it. They're already doing it.
But with that spirit of power comes a spirit of love. I know on social media, the cool thing now is to, what is it? I'm 47, so, you know, I'm a little older now. What is it,
Bruh, come
ratioing?
on.
That's the thing? I ratioed you. That's the new metric of having a spirit of power. No, it's the metric of being an asshole. That's what it is.
I don't know what he's talking about, bro.
What? As a movement, we are now going to cut each other down so somebody looks taller than the next person?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Turning Point USA, that is how we lose. That is not how we win.
America's been doing that forever, B.
And I believe that we have to have a spirit of yes power, but also a spirit of love, because there are young people in the United States who will never go to a Turning Point event. But you have to find them where they are and try to figure out how to communicate them without degrading them. That is the future of convincing hearts and minds to choose the conservative path, to choose Western civilization in America. The last piece is having a spirit of self-control. If you really think that coping and seething is the path to victory, you're fooling yourselves. I've been in the conservative movement for 15 years. Here's what I know. The path to victory is a movement united based around core principles that knocks doors, that goes speaks to voters, that registers them to vote, and gets them out to the polls. That's victory.
That's right. Hold on, Travis, real quick, because you made a great point. He's not a beta male like me. He's an alpha male. His dad raised him. Too bad he was raised by a single mother. Whoo! Guess what?
Yes! Yes! Fuck you! Long titty, no nipple having ass bitch.
I don't understand why y'all like to come on my stream and in the chat and just try to test me as if I don't do research. I know this man personally, but it's okay. We both have the same kind of story. Single mothers raised us. He just happened to be Republican. I happen to be Democrat. Jamaican lineage still all the way through. But again, my thing was the disconnect in the fight that he has. Like, you know what? Hey, you can't be afraid to fight for something. Say, you know what? Yeah, he's been fighting for a lot. Not only the black Republican piece the past 15 years. So you really got to take account of anything he may have said. Before that, could have been more in the middle. I know he was a Democrat. So imagine that. All of a sudden, it's like, you know what? The Democrat thing isn't working for me. I'm going to go balls to the wall hard as a Republican and clearly flip the narrative on the pathways, because there's a lot of black Democrats out there who say a lot of passionate stuff about Democrats that don't get half the headwinds that Byron Donaldson gets as a Republican. Cool. Great. He's using it. But to the main point, for Travis to come in, I appreciate you tapping in. I appreciate every single one of y'all tapping in. Make sure you like, subscribe. Our goal is, of course, 10,000 before Christmas. Let's see in the next 3 days if we can hit 10,000 subscribers, because guess what? In April, we had 400. And now we're right above 8,000. And we have 254 of y'all here right now. So let's see if we can get at least 100 of y'all, 50 of y'all, 10 of y'all to go ahead and hit subscribe right now. Appreciate you. Let's get back to it.
Victory is finding leaders who stand by these principles. And do you agree with them every single time? No. But you agree with them far more than we will ever agree with the radical Democratic left. Because democratic socialism is the thing that will destroy America.
About 3 minutes here left.
Radical Sharia is the thing that will destroy America.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Stealing puberty from young people is the thing that will destroy America.
These assumptions. American-made soldier, thank you. My mom didn't raise me
And
to
so
be a
what
victim.
I choose to do now is...
My mom told me I was never a slave. I can't take the victimhood of slavery and make it mine. So don't try to say, oh, his mom raised it. No. What's happening here is you're taking time out of your day to be in my chat and my stream. So if you want to troll right, but don't sit here making random ass assumptions. Now for you, America's made soldier, guess what? We're both successful. Because one thing about it is, he knows me, I know him, and neither one of us know you. So how about that?
I choose to build a movement and be a part of a movement that stands on principle, that stands on strength, that loves the people in the movement, even sometimes when they piss you off. But has a spirit of self-discipline, because what I know is you can't form a winning unit if you can't stay focused on the mission at hand.
Peep City. Yeah, I was never a slave.
2 years ago, turning point, the conservative movement, we were all united because we were witnessing in real time democratic socialism crossing the entire United States of America. And as a movement, we stood firm, we stood tough, and we said hell no, and Donald Trump is now president of the United States. But look, the job's not done. There are elections next year, and you know what? We have to go back into the well. We got to find that reservoir. We got to know what we stand for and what we believe in, and whether it's here in Arizona with Andy Biggs, if it's Wisconsin with Tom Tiffany, members of Congress up and down the list, state legislators, state senators, city councilmen, we have to continue to replenish our ranks, and we only do that when we work together.
You heard him. I don't think it's gonna happen.
For
though.
you young people in the future, let me give you some notes from your future. It's easy to tear somebody down. It's much harder to build somebody up. And the only way that you build a consistent movement is by building each other up around principles and ideas. That's the only way. And I'm here to communicate to you one last thing. If we stand together, if we work together, if we fight together, based upon the Constitution, based upon our Declaration, based upon the principles of liberty, economic, religious, individual, there will be no stopping our conservative movement. Be the fighter that we need. Be the fighter that's going to make America last for another 250 years. This is what's in front of us, Turning Point. I'm going to stand with you every step of the way. Will you stand with me? Will you fight with me? God bless you, Turning Point. Merry Christmas, everybody. And God bless America.
I'll be real with you. Live reaction to this Byron Donaldson speech. About a 4 out of 10. Won't even hold you. That's about a 4 out of 10. No energy. No nothing. It's like, honestly, even the jabs he threw out to Democrats didn't even land that well. Like, you seen Joshua Anthony knock the shit out of Jake Paul this weekend? Like, none of Byron Donald's hit. He was hitting like Jake Paul. Like, nothing was hitting, right? So I'm a fan of BD. He follows me online. I'll probably clip this and be like, hey, bro, but guess what? This speech right here, bro, that may be a 4 out of 10, my dog. Like, I can't hold you. I support you to an extent, but I can't support that. And some of the narrative, you damn sure know I don't support. But, you know, if you want to make history, do it. But you better bring some energy. And I think the part about it is, to be factual, is like, he can only be so black, right? Like that's really what it is. Like, Byron can only be so black. Can't be no pictures with no blunts. Can't be no pictures with no Hennessy. They had him and Corey Mills in a restaurant, and they were trying to flip that. Corey Mills had his own situation. So Byron knows at the end of the day, like, bruh, he can only be black behind closed doors. You better close the curtains, turn the lights off, everything. Like, hey, y'all niggas in here. That's the only way Byron can be regular. So all this is nice for the gander, for the crowd, for Turning Point USA. But for the next 11 months, this is the one where he's like, listen, bruh, I know what skin I'm in, but I can't be with that shit. I'm trying to make history. And I get it. All right. Some people, like I always say, I've seen some of the best basketball players in the world, baseball players, whatever, right? And they get the basketball, I'll stick it there. They drop 30 points in high school. They get to college, like, damn, you're a lockdown defender getting 15 points to get to the NBA. They put them no buckets. You know why? They have to play the position and a role. And their role is to say, you know what? I could drop 30 if I wanted to, but they need me to rebound and play defense and block shots. So that's what I got to do to keep this NBA check. And Byron Donaldson's NBA check, again, Lakers fan from New York, is the fact of saying, hey, I want to be governor, the first black governor of Florida since Reconstruction. All right, cool. This is how it needs to happen. And there's no energy. And it's there. But somebody does bring energy. Somebody whose video I did find, the clapback of all time. Get ready for my girl, Jasmine Crockett, the queen of Crockett, in her response to JD Vance. Let's get to it.
Of Texas, she sits on the House Judiciary and Oversight Committees. Also, she is running for the U.S. Senate in Texas. Congresswoman, thanks for being with us, and we're going to get to your Senate race in a moment. But first, what do you and your colleagues on these committees plan to do to enforce the law so that Epstein's victims finally get the transparency and the accountability that they've been fighting for?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. You know, I would love to be a good politician right now and tell you that we've got, you know, a DOJ that we could expect to actually do enforcement of their own DOJ. But we are living in the age of corruption, and it is so unfortunate that not only is there a lawful subpoena that has been out there for quite some time from the Oversight Committee, but now the entire House and Senate passed a law that was signed into law, the Epstein Transparency Act, that will not expire at the end of this Congress. And we still have a defiant Attorney General who has decided that her oath is to Donald Trump and it's not to the Constitution. And so it is very difficult to imagine how we are going to get anywhere with this particular DOJ.
Congressman, can I ask you really quickly about an effort, your oversight colleagues, Congressman Ro Khanna, also Congressman Tom Massey, they were on CBS earlier today. They were asked about what they can do following this, what many are describing an illegal breach by the Department of Justice in not releasing the Epstein files. Take a listen to what they said they were willing to do next.
The quickest way, and I think the most expeditious way to get justice for these victims is to bring inherent contempt against Pam Bondi.
We're building a bipartisan coalition, and it would fine Pam Bondi for every day that she's not releasing these documents.
Finally make that dream a reality.
Would you support bringing those charges against Pam Bondi?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's not a question about that. But again, we know exactly what all they went through when it came time to us even getting those signatures onto the discharge petition. I mean, for everybody that thinks that it's a mistake or thinks that the timing isn't questionable about the fact that we got out on Friday and instead of us actually being in, and it just so happened to coincide with the day that the DOJ was supposed to do their production. I mean, this is all obviously an effort that not only the Speaker is involved in, we obviously have the DOJ and the White House involved in this cover-up. And so, you know, we'll see. Will Mike Johnson have his members under control to the extent that we're unable to get the numbers? But we know that this Speaker is willing to shut down the House if it means protecting this corrupt president and his administration.
I'm gonna pause right there because I caught the beginning part of this interview. My bad on this one, y'all. Hold on, gotta drop it in. What is happening? There we go. Had some technical difficulties trying to get this out. I don't know what happened with YouTube. They kind of unlisted and relisted or something. But let me actually get the response to JD Vance, because they're going in about the Epstein files that I didn't want to cover yet. But we'll start this over from the beginning, and then we'll get there.
Democrats have long dreamed of turning Texas blue, or even a bit more purple, and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is hoping to finally make that dream a reality.
Oh.
She recently launched her campaign for the upcoming Texas Senate election, and as of now, she appears to be the front-runner, holding an 8-digit lead over her Democratic primary rival, Texas State Representative James Tallarico. And just hours ago, Vice President JD Vance weighed in on the race at the Turning Point USA conference.
And Jasmine Crockett. Oh, Jasmine Crockett. The record speaks for itself. She wants to be a senator, though her street girl persona is about as real as her nails.
And Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is back here with us. So, Congresswoman, let's start right there. With the way that the vice president speaks about you,
She's mad. Look at her. Look at her. She's mad. Look at them blinks.
Conservative Youth Conference.
All those blinks. She is upset.
Every black woman heard what he was trying to say there. It's extra laughable in a way, because what precedes this moment is him coming out, you know, to an entire pyrotechnic show and rock music and fanfare for, you know, him to comment on your flair. But what do you think he's trying to say there? What do you think he's trying to signal at a conference like this to an audience like this?
Well, first of all, he's trying to rile up his base, because right now we know that no matter if we're looking in deep red Tennessee, Mississippi, or Georgia, we know that we're swinging no less than 10 points. And unlike what we've had historically in Texas, because I know that you talked about the Texas dream of turning us blue, is that we have a candidate in me who absolutely plans to talk to any and everybody, and that is why they are afraid. The fact that he said I have a quote-unquote street girl persona, I'm sorry, but anybody that you talk to knows my credentials. They know that I've gone to school. They know that I'm educated. I never tried to put on some random story about where I came from, but at the end of the day, I am who I am, and I am authentic. And that is actually what they are fearful of, is my authenticity, because it rings true with every single American, whether they're a Texan or not. It rings true that I am fighting for real everyday people. And instead of talking about policy, when you're talking about the record speaks for itself, baby, let's talk about your record. Because the only reason you're the vice president is because the current president tried to have his last president killed. Let's talk about qualifications. Let's talk about who has actually been fighting for people way before she ever ran for office, whether it was in the courtroom or if it was in the streets, making sure those that were out there wanting to exercise their constitutional right to come together and protest injustices. I was representing pro bono people that were getting arrested as they were out in the streets. So listen, I don't have time for him and their games. They are scared, and they should be scared. I need Texans to focus in. I need them to think about the fact that our 2 senators literally just voted against extending the Affordable Care Act tax subsidies that would help almost an additional almost 4 million people that are on the marketplace. In a state where we have 5 million that are completely uninsured, they basically are trying to put another 4 million people off of their insurance. And this is before we endure the cuts that are coming because of the big ugly bill, where we know 17 million people in this country are going to lose their health care. Listen, I'm staying focused. I'm not going to be distracted. And when they can tell me about their policies that are helping Texans, then we can have a conversation. Until then, take whatever shots you want to take at me, because I have been a black woman my entire life. I promise you, there are other people just like JD Vance who have tried to do the same racist tropes my entire life, and somehow I ascended and became a U.S. Congresswoman. It will not be different when I become a U.S. Senator, and we can have a conversation when I get to the Senate floor if he wants to talk.
Congresswoman, I'm so glad you brought up policy. I went back and I watched your launch speech about your campaign for Senate. And a lot.
I ain't gonna hold you. This isn't like Tupac Biggie type beef. This isn't like any kind of rap beef. This is some political beef, and I'm here for it because you got to have the right personality for this, right? I'll be honest with you. I don't know a lot of members of Congress who have the personality to clap back with Trump. Like Max Frost, Gen Z, can't do it. Who else? Shit, Hakeem Jeffries, team with Obama, damn sure can't do it. This is what you need. You need that every time Jasmine Crockett drop.
Clock it.
You better believe, man, we gonna clock it. But either way, that was a pretty good clap back. One thing I want to get to, kind of funny, if you haven't checked out the White House YouTube channel. Let me see. If it's still up, yeah, it's still there. Trump. I really don't count. I mean, just a little bit. I don't care what you say, right? Trump has to be one of the funniest presidents ever, right? This trolling is next level. To have a lo-fi Trump, lo-fi 2025 MAGA victories, with all your victories scrolling. I don't think this is lo-fi music though, right? This doesn't seem like Christmas lo-fi. Maybe I could be with my Christmas lo-fi off, right? But this is kind of funny to me. Like, Trump gonna troll like nobody else, and this to me is pure comedy. The bill. I had to stop the lo-fi. Are they gonna fact check this? Because I thought, I hate to say it for the people who voted for Trump, right? And all the Americans who voted, I thought we were voting against sending money to Ukraine. Right, NATO's paying for it, but I thought we were paying for NATO. Like, what's going on? Trump cracked down on international cartels, designating 8 Latin American cartels as terrorist groups, including Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the Sinaloa cartel. Listen, President Trump has solidified the U.S. position as a world leader in AI, attracting $2.7 billion in tech and AI investment, including $90 billion in groundbreaking AI and energy investments in Pennsylvania. Crazy. But yeah, this is a lo-fi Trump in the background. I don't have a problem with Charlamagne God. I think he really speaks right on mental health about a lot of those issues, but, and it's not an attack on him. I think it's almost every celebrity, because when BET decided to sit a lot of black men in the room last year, Kenny Burns was there, Vince Staples, Roland Martin, Jeff Johnson, a lot of people who honestly have never been inside a Capitol building to at least pass any legislation. Even if they do, they're a one-trick pony. It's only one issue. It's black issues. It's voting rights. It's, whatever. It's never a fact of, hey, what are we doing around women with breast cancer? What are we doing for single mothers? What are we doing for fathers? Mental health. We have a lot of men that are committing suicide out here in these streets. I know 3 men personally in the past 5 years, really 4, that have taken their own life. So when you think about all the things that people are dealing with, it's like, okay, what are you doing to actually solve this? And if you're looking at government to be a solution to any of these problems, how are you navigating within this? And one thing I think and I realize is that a lot of people, everybody's respectful and open to have their opinion about politics is great to have and see. But it's also a fact of, what are we doing to solve shit? Right? Because just me and my narrative and what I see is 50 plus years. I've only been here for 40, right? There've been 50 to 60 years of the same narrative that gets spun around. And at this point, it's a lot of hate, divisiveness, trauma. Shit is gonna run your blood pressure up. And to me, my blood pressure is fine the way it is. I don't need it ran up with Trump and other nonsense. But I also realize that for people that want a solution, right? Like my wife was talking to me about it, like, hey, around the holidays, I don't like talking politics, right? And a lot of people who know me personally, it's like, hey, this may be the only time they get to speak with someone who actually has a solution, or at least can bring a different perspective to a conversation. I'm like, you know what, that's cool and all. But also a fact of the people that are out here who more people listen to, they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. And that's why I say, things can make common sense. Yes, a lot of things make common sense from Democratic perspectives and Republican perspectives. But do they make political sense? Again, example from today's segment early in the news was Gavin Newsom and the Californian immigrants he promised, documented and undocumented, that they will provide health care for them. Great. $30 a month. Absolutely amazing. Common sense is great. Yeah, all right, we're going to go to California. So you realize they're $13 billion in debt, and all of a sudden they don't have the money to pay for it. So that's where it is. But let's get into Charlamagne Tha God as he reflects on Trump's first year back in office, and see what people have to say, hear what he has to say at least.
Charlamagne Tha God has a direct line to millions of people on his daily morning show, The Breakfast Club. Last November, despite his disappointment with the election, he told me he was optimistic about Trump's second term. So we checked in with him again this week to get his reaction to Trump's first year back in office. Has this year been better or worse than what you anticipated?
Is he whispering?
Man, that's a great question. After the election, I said to myself, all he has to do is not do everything that all his critics say he's going to do.
Right.
Literally, don't do the Project 2025, don't have authoritarian strategy, don't go after your political opponents. Don't make this, this new presidency about, revenge.
Yeah.
And he checked all those boxes. He did every single one of those things that everybody told him not to do. So I would say that things are going pretty much as predicted.
So how does it, you're so in touch with your audience. I mean, you spend hours a day, every day, talking to your audience.
Absolutely.
How does it land when he says something like, gives himself a grade, A++++ on the economy? How does that land?
Well, he's doing the same thing that, Democrats were doing last year when they were trying to tout Bidenomics. Yeah. And you're trying to tell people that what they actually feel in their pockets isn't real. Oh, the stock market is great. The people I'm talking to don't have stocks. Yeah. The grocery prices are down. Like, no, they're actually in the grocery store every day and they see that they're not.
What's broken through? And have people, because I get a sense that people to a degree are tuning out of a lot of this stuff.
Well, that's an interesting question. I don't know if they're tuning out. I do know that people can't see past their bills.
Yeah.
So when you can't see past your own bills, that's the thing that you're always constantly focusing on. And so everything else does feel like a distraction, but I feel like the Epstein files absolutely positively cut through, at least to his base, to the people who will defend him to the death, and ride with him no matter what. Something about those Epstein files finally made them say, oh, he's lying. And I think since then they've paid attention to every other lie that he has spewed.
How should Democrats approach Trump now?
I think that their approach this year has been relatively strong for a party that has no power.
No power at all.
You know what I mean? I think that they have done something that we usually don't see them do, which is fight, right? But they're fighting kind of with their hands tied behind their back. And everybody's got different approaches, but you would expect that from a big tent party. Yeah. Democrats are not monolithic.
I remember you telling me, way before Biden dropped out, you were warning about Biden and whether or not he had it in him to run again.
Absolutely.
And you said to me he had no main character energy.
None.
So what do you see now when you look out? I counted recently, I think there's like 20 Democrats that I can count who are likely to run for president. Mm-hmm. Who do you see that's got that main character?
Yeah, I got the ghetto bird.
There's a lot of people who got
African ceiling bird is what we call it.
But I think that what people are concerned about now, it's not about how you, it is about how you campaign, but it's more so about how you govern.
Yeah.
So I think that what people are going to be looking at are people's actual records, right? Like literally. So even if you are able to cut through.
That's not going to happen. And this is what I mean by having people who don't understand, I guess, elections and politics, understand that the people who typically go vote, who are educated, we call them super voters, people who voted in 3 of the last 5 elections, 4 of the last 5, 5 of the last 5 general elections, primary elections, all these elections put together, right? They're educated. They're informed. To me, you don't have to go re-inform them because you know why? They vote early in primary elections. That'll be like an August election or February election, right? They vote early then. So there are a lot of voters that you don't have to go educate and tell people. So a lot of people looking into the records, a lot of the great base of voters, maybe 60-70% of people who actually vote, they already know the records. They're in it every day. They're the ones whose blood pressure is high as shit because of Trump, because of prices, because of groceries. That 30%, 40% of other people who don't vote, right? First time coming out, your younger voters, you're 18 to 35, right? They'll be the ones that are going to be going looking for a record. Because people who are impacted by their Social Security, their Medicare, their Medicaid, you don't have to go tell them about the voting record. They know how their congressperson already voted. They know how their member of the state legislature voted. They even understand the difference between their mayors, their state representatives, and their congressional representatives, U.S. rep versus state rep. And it's a completely different monolith of opportunities that you can actually change shit, right? But the thing is, people aren't going to say, oh, yeah, I'm going to do research on the candidates. Now, no, that's not going to happen. The thing is, this is why you need almost a Jasmine Crockett style, because what people really miss is the fact of in 2007, 2008, Obama was running against Hillary Clinton, the machine, right? And the machine was just as boring as Joe Biden, right? Now you get to a point of somebody who's going to energize it and get to a point of saying, hey, we need to bring more people in, but educate them about the problems and speak to the issues that we're going to solve. Change, hope, insurance, basically, right? And we get to a point of that all happening, people educating them there. But now we're to a point of saying there's so much divisiveness, there's so much trauma, there's so much hate on both sides of the aisle that all they can do is say, hey, he's a problem. She's a problem. They're the ones coming to take your health care. They're the ones coming to take your job. The immigrants are doing it. Now they can't blame the immigrants because now all of a sudden self-deportations are up to like 1.8, 1.9 million. All the other people, nobody's coming in, net migration, everything else, right? So now they can't blame it on the immigrants anymore. They have to blame it on someone else. The issue is they don't have anybody else to blame, right? And that's both sides of the aisle. So now to a point of kind of the analogy I've said before is, it's like you go on a first date with somebody and all you do is talk about the ex. It's like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna protect you from your ex. I'm gonna do this from your ex. I'm gonna do this different from your ex. And it's like, you're not giving me anything to believe in you. So why should I leave this date and follow up with you when I can go talk to my ex? Because clearly you highlighted more things about my ex and trying to fear me from them or her or whatever, right? That all of a sudden, that's where my interest may be, because I don't see the same fear that you fear. Now, it could be gas prices, it could be groceries, it could be a lot of things, but I don't think that my individual problems are all of America's problems. At the same time, I do realize, to Charlamagne's point, that nobody's going to go research shit. They're going to go with whoever's the most popular candidate who has a personality that aligns with them. And that's where, in Jasmine Crockett's case, it works because people have already seen her personality. She has name ID. She doesn't have to be reintroduced to people. They know who the hell she is, right? Then they get to the policy part. And that's where when JD Vance says, hey, she hasn't done anything, it's not a fact of an attack on black women, respectfully. I think it's an attack on, okay, people elect legislators to change laws. And you can talk about constituent services all day. To me, that's completely different, because the mindset of it is, hey, I need help at the VA versus, hey, we need to change this law at the VA because this is the impetus for everybody having a backlog and us not being able to solve these problems, right? That's a different thing, because it's one thing to say, hey, go get money for a bridge, go get money for a hospital, go get money for the different things. It's another thing to change the actual structure. So when they talk about having not done anything in politics, what they mean is actual legislation, a solution to the everyday problems that Americans have, right? Instead of just saying, hey, Trump's a problem, because again, even what Charlamagne was saying here, last year, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were saying it was corporate greed and corporate gouging that was rising up the prices, right? Now we're saying Trump is doing something totally different. Pricing is still out of control. This has been happening since the pandemic. When people were talking about the war in Ukraine and Russia, it's going to drive up fertilizer prices, and all of a sudden the farmers are going to feel it. And once the farmers start feeling it, they're going to send the prices all the way back up to the consumer, right? But now we're in a tariff world, Trump and all of the good stuff. But all put together, to the main point what Charlamagne was saying here, I don't believe people are going to go research more information. They're not going to go look at their voting records. They're not going to say, oh, you voted against Medicare, Medicaid, and all this other stuff, because people's memory are short. 6 months from now, the issues people care about will not be the same issues unless it's the economy. And honestly, from running campaigns, healthcare, education, jobs are the three main issues people always care about. So that's why they keep regurgitating. So unless there are 10,000 data centers that come up and start polluting the air and taking the grid and people don't have blackouts, people aren't going to change their positions. But if anything, we have over 200 of y'all here right now. Over 42,000 people have tapped in for the stream so far today. Go ahead and subscribe. Again, we're trying to hit 10,000 by Christmas. I haven't checked the total numbers that we hit today, but let's get back to it.
Like a Gavin Newsom is cutting through. People are going to really look at his record because they've seen, what he's done in California. And I think things like people's records are actually going to come back to haunt them, when they decide to run for president. So, but I do think governors are going to have the best chance, like the Governor Westmore's, the Governor Josh Shapiro's, the Governor Pritz's, the Governor Newsom's. They're going to have the best opportunity because they have an actual record.
And that's the part, again, just going back to Charlamagne here, he don't know what the fuck he's talking about when it comes to politics. Because now you have Westmore, budget deficit in Maryland, raising prices everywhere. They just basically said, you know what, cool, the reparations bill, we're going to override you. So now all of a sudden you have that issue. Again, Gavin Newsom, they're $13 billion in deficit in California. On top of it, Gavin Newsom promised health care for the immigrants, and now he's taking it back because they can't afford to do it. Again, they're offering $30 health care a month for immigrants while you have to go pay the regular market price from Obamacare, maybe $400 or $500, $600 a month. Imagine that. So yes, they have a record, but then when you get down to it, realistically, is it something that the average person will be like, damn, these Democrats fucking tripping? Oh yeah, I'm with that. I support that. If a conservative, if a liberal person comes and tells you, yeah, we should give immigrants $30 a month health care while you go pay $400 or $500 a month, are you voting Democrat? Yes or no? Let me know in the chat. To be fair and frank, let's get to this, man.
You know, the Governor Newsoms, they're going to have the best opportunity because they have an actual record.
I mean, for Trump, I mean, he had no record when he ran, but he was able to break through. I mean, he, you know, captured the imagination he captured the Republican Party.
He had a fantastic campaign. Y'all can be like, listen, you don't have to like the guy, but we cannot act like, you know, his campaigns weren't incredible. And I mean, even somebody like Mondani took a lot of Trump's messaging, you know, the whole messaging of affordability, right? Like that's what Trump said. I won the election on one word, groceries.
Social media.
In social media, like the three things, it's so funny. Like Democrats talk about Mondani galvanized young people. He used social media and he talked about affordability. And Democrats act like those were three revolutionary things.
They did the same thing with Obama in 2007. You realize that after 9/11, after the war in Iraq, that Obama team basically said, you know what, if we keep talking about the economy, we're going to win. They galvanized young people, and they used the newer forms of social media to engage people. They had will.i.am doing a whole video. Remember the YouTube video? will.i.am came out and they had excerpts of his speech and different people saying excerpts of his speech to galvanize folks. Yes, we can. Remember that shit? It was the same thing. The problem is, of course, with Democrats, they've stuck in that playbook, then they forgot. Then they let Bernie Sanders and AOC and all these super progressives say, you know what, hey, this is where we need to be. And all of a sudden, they start preaching minimum wage and all the other shit as if it really is a livable wage. They can't even tell you what, they talk about livable wage, but they can't tell you what that number is. So at the end of the day, Democrats lost their way, and Trump did exactly what Obama did to one, and guess what? He done came back and...
If they haven't done those things before.
Listen, you already know time.
It's the economy, stupid. That was Bill Clinton in the 90s, right? Galvanizing young people, that was Barack Obama. Using social media, that was Barack Obama. So these three basic things that Mondani did, Democrats seem to have forgotten about, and they praise him so much for it. And they should, because he ran a fantastic campaign as well. But a lot of his messaging was Trump-like messaging. Affordability, New York first, which is similar to America's first.
Yeah.
All of that, you know, was able to cut through.
Yeah,
that goes back to what I
type
always
shit.
say. Man, we complicate these things. Americans want two things. They want more money in their pocket, and they want to feel safe. If you can make people feel like you're going to put more money in their pocket and you're going to make them feel safe, you'll energize them every time.
And Democrats still, to the point earlier, Democrats still have not won people over on the economy. And this isn't just my poll and my thoughts. This is actual polling that's out there in Florida and nationally saying, you know what, overall, people do not trust Democrats with the economic solutions. Because a lot of it is, and this is from a member of Congress I used to work with, a lot of the members of Congress have never cut a payroll check. That they've never really worked a job. A lot of these people have been SGA presidents, family lineage, and ran basically straight, nothing ever served in life, and said, hey, you know what, hey, I'm gonna go run for Congress. And because of that, they have these takes where it's like, damn, you don't know the first thing about shit. It's really like, I read earlier online, it's like you're in college and you realize your business professor never owned a fucking business, but he's teaching you about it, right? It's kind of crazy. Like, how does it even make sense if you never walked that path, right? And that's just one of those things.
Trump campaigned obviously on the border crime and like you said, he didn't call it affordability, but on high prices.
Hey, true.
Where has he succeeded?
I would say probably the border, you know, but it's the way that it's happening, right? I mean, if the numbers are true, you know, people aren't, you know, coming across the border anymore. But I mean, man, do you really want to see people who've, you know, been here for years, who are actual citizens, are trying to go through the process to get legal citizenship? Do you really want to see them snatched off the street the way that they are? Do you know, Latino people need to just live in fear?
I mean, he did better among Hispanics than like any Republican on record.
Yeah, only to pop out and say, "Gotcha," you know. And I really just wonder what goes through their minds and how are they going to vote come 2026? How are they going to vote come 2028? Because they bought into the dream, but that dream turned into a nightmare.
What most surprised you about 2025 on the political front?
the lack of, well, I was about to say the lack of respect for the working class. You know, because I always knew that America didn't give a damn about poor people, right? America doesn't care about poor people. America doesn't really care about, you know, people just trying to make it every day, just trying to survive. But really, man, from everything from the Doge cuts earlier in the year to the government shutdown, like people really have no idea. Politicians really have no idea what their constituents are going through. We don't even talk about all the people whose lives Doge ruined early in the year. Then you fast forward and you get, you know, to the government shutdown. And I understand that, you know, they were taking a stand for people's health care. But just the fact that they weren't even thinking about all the government workers that were also out of work, who are still right now, as they're watching this on television, you know, trying to catch up.
And what do you expect for 2026? What's your biggest hope? Let's try to end here on a hopeful note. What do you hope for?
I hope that politicians get their act together. It does give me hope to see some of the Republicans finally saying, whoa, like, that ain't right. Like, I mean, I'm even just on like just regular moral human issues, right? When you made those comments about Rob Reiner, it's just like, just to see Republicans step up and be like, all right, bro, that's too far. Like, you know, I'm just finally happy to see people on that side, the right side, say, hey, that's too far. Like, you know, do I trust Marjorie Taylor Greene? No. Do I believe Marjorie Taylor Greene? I didn't at first, starting to a little bit, because at some point, you know, your conscience has to kick in. At some point, your moral, you know, clarity as a human has to be like, nah, that's not what I want to be a part of. So I hope to see more of that, and I hope to see Democrats, you know, continue to get their messaging together. But I also don't want people to think that Democrats have to have one message. Yeah. You know, when you talk about a big tent party, I think that we really have to look at it in that way. Everybody in that party is going to be doing different things, but if they all have the same goal, I think that could be what's best for America.
No, that was a pretty good interview. All of them, I'll give this probably an 8 out of 10, way better than JD Vance's speech at Turning Point USA, America First Conference. Now, one thing I will say is, after working in politics 15 years, the one thing I will firmly agree with is that when there's a moral code that's struck, people don't care about party, right? So that's what you kind of see with Marjorie Taylor Greene with the Epstein files, a lot of Americans as well. When it comes to sexual assault, predator behavior, we've seen it with Penn State, Jerry Sandusky. We've seen it with the Catholic schools. We've seen it that some things in America that they just don't play with. Now, there was a time in America they didn't give a shit about it, right? But now this isn't that time, right? So now to a point of saying, okay, this could be the one thing, the Epstein files, all other stuff could be the turning point to say, you know what, hey, yes, morally we're not with the shit. And yes, I kowtowed for President Trump, but I don't support young ladies being abused like this and nobody really sticking up and standing up for these kind of ungodly situations. But I actually have to get my son from school in a minute. Promised my wife we're gonna go to dinner early. So I'm gonna have one more clip here. We're gonna do the Erica Kirk and Nicki Minaj piece. I'm not gonna get through all of this, but we're gonna start here and then probably end that. I know Trump's going live with Hegseth regarding shipbuilding at 4:30. Knowing Trump, they probably won't get on till like 5, 6. I may stream later, but listen, we have a goal of getting to 10,000 later. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you like and subscribe. I am the hip hop lobbyist, professional lobbyist in the state of Florida. If it's your first time here, I appreciate y'all tapping in with your boy, man. If you've been here for 1 hour, 10 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it may be, I appreciate you for spending the day with me. But let's get into Erica Kirk and Nicki Minaj. I don't have too much time to waste here, but we're going to get there.
So those of you who know, Charlie was very good about having a surprise for every AmFest. And we are so blessed to have you. We are so grateful. I mean...
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. I am honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
The barbs is out.
Love you guys. So we're just going to dive right into this. You had some fun words for Governor Newsom. I have to read these tweets because they're amazing and they are so funny. Okay, first one, we'll do this one. Unless you want to read it in your own voice. I think it'd be really great. Okay.
Oh, Gavy Poo, it only gets worse from here for you, buddy. It's the end of the road for you, my love. Get on the nearest jet ski and let that beautiful hair blow in the wind. It'll make you happier than this race that you will not win. Enjoy life.
That's crazy.
You said a lot of tricky words.
Okay. One more.
Why not? Imagine being the guy running on wanting to see trans kids. Haha, not even a trans adult would run on that. Normal adults wake up and think they want to see healthy, safe, happy kids. Not Gav, the Gav nots. Gav not in, Gav out. Send in the next guy, I'm bored.
Listen, when Nicki first came out with all the different personalities, Roman and all the rest of that shit, I used to be like, damn, motherfucker, crazy, schizophrenic, all the rest of that shit. People told me, oh no, you're crazy, you're hating on the barbs, right? I don't have no issue with the barbs, right? But what I am saying is, I kind of agree with her. Because I have trans friends. Yes, there's a black man with trans friends. I'm gay. I'm sorry. I'm straight. They're gay. Whatever it may be, right? However, it gets to a point of saying there are some trans people that I've connected with to say, you know what, hey, they don't support kids transitioning. They don't support this narrative of a lot of Caucasian men pushing this for equal rights and protections. And it does get to a point of saying, when celebrities end up taking positions like this, like a Nicki Minaj, it's more of a fact of, okay, are they doing it to kowtow for the Republicans and Democrats, or is it the moral composition of how they feel? And I do feel that even her in her position where she probably knows a lot more gay people than me, probably a lot more trans people than me, right? Cool. It gets to a point of saying, yes, there are a lot of people within the community who do not support the narrative the Democrats are pushing. And that's the part where I'll be honest and frank, it's all good until your daughter gets dunked on, right? And that's it. So the second, if you watch women's sports, soccer, basketball, whatever, let a transgender young man who could make the basketball team, young lady, I guess, come down and do a 360 windmill on your daughter in middle school or high school. And you will be like, you know what? I'm a Democrat, but I don't support this shit. And that's where Democrats are kind of losing folks, where they're not really holding true to it. Now, they didn't have a fumble up there, photo up earlier. I'm not gay. I have gay friends. So just throwing it out there for anyone who may have clipped that by mistake.
So I'm just going to let you riff. Like, I want you to say whatever you want to say to Mr. Newsom.
Dear Newsom, we don't have a problem cleaning up the scum if we have to. Please tread lightly. That's what I would say to Gavy Poo.
This is very performative right now.
So with regard to the current administration, what has been maybe the biggest surprise for you, or something that you just really has been put on your heart that you've learned about our president and our vice president?
Steve City, my bad, dog.
Well, I have the utmost respect and admiration for our president. He has, I don't know if he even knows this, but he's given so many people hope that there's a chance to beat the bad guys and to win, and to do it with your head held high and your integrity intact.
Are we for real?
He's from Queens, New York, like me. So, but what it's shown me personally is sometimes, you know, even in the worst feeling times in your life, you think that you're never going to come back from it. But you do. And our president shows that. He's been through every single thing a person could be through publicly. Having to constantly be lied on. It's not really that funny. Until you are in that person's shoes that's being lied on, you'll never understand what it feels like. That person is a human being. They have a family who has to read those lies. And that's not, and it's just not fair.
Does she feel this way about her husband? I think he's a sexual predator. Is that a lie or is that the truth? Because I'm trying to figure out if they're reading a lie or the truth. It has to be maybe a personal story in there somewhere. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it.
But this administration is full of people with heart and soul. And they make me proud of them. Our vice president, he makes me...
Well, brother. Okay.
I love both of them. But they're both powerful men, smart, strong, all of that. But both of them have a very uncanny ability to be someone that you relate to. I can relate to them. When I hear them speak, I know that they're one of us. Like, I know that they're not... Don't you guys agree? They haven't lost touch of the world. You know, they're still connected to the world and what's happening in the world, with the younger people and older people, with the richer people and not so rich people. They have the ability to still connect and be real and make us feel proud to be American.
So why now have you been involved with speaking about politics? What was kind of
what was it?
The turning point for you?
Turning point for Nicki. Let's find out what it was.
What was the turning point? Well, I just got tired of being pushed around. Sometimes you just get tired of it, and then you realize, wait a minute, I have something inside of me that's stronger than what's out there. That's right. So when you've had enough, you realize, wait a minute, why do I even care about these people and what they think? Who are they? They don't even know who they are. So I'm not going to back down anymore. I'm not going to back down ever again.
Amen.
That's my song, y'all. My bad.
Can the students in the room raise your hand? Wow. This question is for you guys. So you guys are very courageous and bold on your campus. Nicki, I know our students feel this way, but why do you think speaking your mind has become so controversial?
Because people no longer are using their minds, their brains.
What the
So
fuck?
right now, just imagine, we're not allowed to have a different opinion anymore.
How?
We're not allowed to think out loud anymore.
How?
We're not, this is not what the world used to feel like. And especially for the young people, I don't want them growing up in a world where they feel like that. They deserve for their voices to be heard. They have valid feelings and they're thinking about things, and it deserves attention. You know, we should listen to what they're saying. And if you're growing up in a world that tells you it's taboo to say something that the masses don't agree with, that's not okay. And we're not gonna have it. And I love this. You know, It's giving the younger people confidence that they will need later on in life. You guys will need it, and you will have it. So I'm rooting for you.
Amen. Amen.
I'll say this. I kind of get what Nicki's saying. I think it's a lot of bullshit to be fair. Because there's not really anything that's, really specific, to be fair, right? But I do hear what she's saying. Because there is a point of, as someone who grew up in the 90s, I can't say what I want to say like I used to be able to 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Like, respectfully, I used to call everything gay. Oh, that's gay, that's gay, that's gay, right? You can't say that anymore. I never really said the R word like that. I say the N word very profusely. But there's certain things out there, and I'm not saying, oh, we need to be able to say the R word, but there's certain jokes, and this is very simple. The Bernie Mac skit on Kings of Comedy would get him canceled today, right? And I think that's the part where you look at it like, okay, damn, you can't really say anything. So I do get what Nicki Minaj is trying to say in some kind of vessel, right? At the same time, I do feel that some people aren't going to hear and relate, like real talk, what she's saying, because they're going to be like, oh, she's up here with the Republicans and she's celebrating Trump. She sold out to people. But at the same time, you have to realize this isn't the same Nicki Minaj that was in the stairwell 15 years ago on YouTube rapping, right? Talking about Remy Ma, eating box and all the rest of that. I don't know if that was her. They said it was her. Yeah, I'm quite sure people know what I'm talking about, right? But it's to a point of saying Nicki Minaj, multimillionaire, traveled the world. She's schizophrenic, clearly got 7 different personalities. I don't know if Safari's still writing her shit. I guess not, right? Cool. Broke up with Meek Mill. So we know Nicki Minaj, but we know that she's not the same person she used to be, just like Cardi B, the person she beefs with, right? I remember Cardi B when she was leaving the strip club and giving advice with crooked ass teeth. Her teeth look like my fingers right now. But that's not who she is. So I do believe that once you started gaining more money, more wealth, some of your ideals change, right? When you look at buying land, building wealth, leaving something for the next generation, some of your ideals do change. However, people who are so stuck on Democrat liberal policies that you're Black, Caribbean, a person of a different nationality, whatever, that you have to all of a sudden be Democrat. And I think that's where we kind of lose folks. And this is my thing. I respect the fact of at least her having an opinion to say, okay, cool, I'm Christian, I believe in Trump. At least the first 9 minutes of this. I haven't seen the whole 32 minutes yet. But it does get to a point of saying, at least have an opinion so that everybody knows we're not like ideal thinking, like we all think in a box. However, I don't have time to complete the rest of this interview now. So I'll be fair to y'all and be fair to the stream and the family. I did promise the wife we're gonna take him out for lunch, right? Gonna go pick up my son from daycare, do a little bit of that, do some Christmas shopping tomorrow. We'll be back on tonight for real. Because again, the goal is 10,000 before Christmas. So do you think it's possible? Do you think we'll be able to get 1,000+ subscribers over the next 3 days? Well, we got a live stream to do it because I'm able to tap in directly with you on the stream right here on your phone, streaming live to YouTube Shorts, right? So either way, I want to thank each and every one of y'all tapping in for the stream today. Let me go through the numbers, go through the stats. We've had over 49,000 people tap in on the stream, over 200 of y'all here right now. Now, the goal, of course, of getting 10,000. I put my transcript into AI, and AI said my call to action need to be stronger. They said, you know what, be more aggressive with these people, Phil. They said, you know what, tell them they need to subscribe now for more exclusive content, more exclusive commentary, because I'm a professional lobbyist, giving 15 years of experience to political analysts, political analysis, and political commentary, whatever it is. But we're trying to grow the channel. We started off again in March, April, around 400 subscribers. We're surpassed over 8,000. Let's see where we are today. And I think if we're over a certain number, if we're like, how many? 8,700. We're 1,300 subscribers away from hitting 10,000. I think we can do it because there are 200 of y'all here right now. So if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit subscribe real quick. Let's see if we can get to 8,800 before the stream wraps up. But overall, over 49,000 of y'all tapped in. Over 200 of y'all still with us right now. Only 5. I only need 5. You know how you go into church Sunday? A lot of y'all in church yesterday and doing an altar call and said, there's only 5 more. We only need 5 more souls to be saved. We only need 5 of y'all watching the stream right now to help us get to 8,800, right? 5. We got 4 more to go. But I appreciate every single one of y'all. Again, over 49,000, over 200 here, over 200 of y'all here with me right now. Appreciate every single one of y'all. Hold on. Let me check the comments. Because comments be popping sometimes. You know, if I waited out a little bit, another minute, maybe we'll hit the 8,800. I don't know. Let's see. Are we there? 2 more. We only need 2 more souls to be saved. 152 of y'all right now. Can we hit 8,800 before we wrap up this stream? We're about to go. You're right there. Only 2. Let's see if we're there. 1 more. With 8,799 subscribers, can we hit 8,800? Because then we'll be 1,200 away from the goal of hitting 10,000 before Christmas. And I think we can do it. I'm about to hit a refresh real quick. Over 150 y'all here right now. Are we there? No, we're not. What are we doing here, people? Just know. Oh, no, hold on. I just realized.
Your head on that pill at night.
I just realized something. You're not going to hear my soundboard without the right setup. So either as I clock out, if you've been here before, you already know what we hit. Just know.
All I ask is when you lay your head on that pill at night, you know I gave you everything I had.
And listen, we hit 8,800 subscribers. I appreciate every single one of y'all tapping in. We are only 1,200 subscribers away from 10,000. We're going to hit there before Christmas. We got 3 more days to do it. Again, I appreciate every single one of y'all. Over 45,000, 49,000 of y'all tapped in. Over 100 of y'all still here right now. Thank you. I'll be on later. Going to clip up some of this, go spend time with my family, and we'll have another show later tonight. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great, wonderful afternoon. I'm out. Oh, I got another stream. I got the Canvas stream to cut off too, don't I?